As everyone in the boxing community now knows, YouTube sensation Jake Paul has now reached the pinnacle of his boxing journey as he is slated to face the biggest name in boxing of the last 40 years in Mike Tyson. Starting his unlikely rise on the undercard of Mike Tyson's last exhibition against fellow Hall of Fame legend Roy Jones Jr. in 2020, Paul broke onto the boxing scene with his devastating KO of former NBA player Nate Robinson. Since then, he's formed his own niche in the sport, becoming one of its biggest names in the process. Meanwhile, Tyson remains as popular a social figure as ever, nearly 20 years after his retirement in 2005. Training footage as late as 2023 shows Tyson to still be in great shape for a 57-year-old ex-champion of 56 fights. Looking very strong in his exhibition against Roy Jones, opinions are split on what happens. But before we can try to predict an outcome, here are 5 questions we must ask. Number 1, and most importantly, is this a WWE-like staged event, or is it a real boxing match? While some crossover events like James Toney's ill-fated mixed martial arts challenge of Randy Couture was 100% real, others like Logan Paul challenge of Floyd Mayweather looked largely like the exhibition between Tyson and Jones. But then there was the supposed exhibition between former Tyson rival Evander Holyfield and Vitor Belfort. The 2021 bout looked friendly enough until Belfort finished Holyfield inside of 1 round. So with this fight being scheduled for July 20th and not being listed on BoxRec like the April 20th battle between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, this looks more like an exhibition. But with the aforementioned Holyfield-Belfort fight never being listed, maybe there's hope for some real action after all. Number 2, why now? As mentioned before, Tyson has been retired for nearly 20 years, but much like Snoop Dogg in the hip-hop community and Shaquille O'Neal's endorsement power, he has transcended his sport, and his one-man shows and other businesses have been very successful for perhaps the most exciting fighter in the history of the sport. With Paul's star perhaps dimming just a bit in his last few fights, the timing couldn't be better for a fight of this magnitude, at least for him. Number 3, would Tyson allow his legacy to be diminished for a big payday? Tyson's Instagram post was straightforward enough and sounds convincing. But many fans fear that he will treat this matchup as a sparring session, taking it easy on the younger Paul. Meanwhile, Paul has shown absolutely no let-up in any of his bouts so far. Knowing how the cocky, precocious YouTuber operates, most expect him to try to make an example of Tyson with a vicious knockout. With that being said, Tyson, as he said in his post, helped start Paul on his journey and is largely responsible for his ascension to niche pay-per-view star. Tyson's intelligence has always been one of his most underappreciated attributes. Is it possible that he set this up all along to allow Paul to shine, only to capitalize on it with a huge payday down the line? If so, down the line is now. Number 4, why is Netflix interested? With Netflix previously being known exclusively for movie and TV shows, they're now taking the opportunity to enter into combat sports, and the timing couldn't be better. The previous staples of boxing, HBO and Showtime, have both bowed out of the sport in recent years. With DAZN making an unsuccessful attempt to dent the pay-per-view wall, the landscape is wide open for the most mainstream streaming service there is to capitalize off of the biggest name in combat sports, along with one of the most well-known YouTubers who, love him or hate him, has crossed over into the sports world. Number 5, what's gonna happen? While most believe Tyson, even at this advanced age, would provide Paul with too many problems for Paul to be able to handle, others think that a 58-year-old Tyson is in trouble in this bout against someone who, while a YouTuber, has been fighting and training non-stop over the past 4 years and has scored some of the most explosive knockouts, even if it's been over hand-picked non-boxers. Tyson is at a stage of his life where he's more gregarious and friendly than ever. This leads a lot of Tyson fans from the 80s and 90s will see their hero will either lay down or simply move around in a sparring session type of show to help launch the Netflix era of boxing. But the belief here says Tyson, even at the age of 58 by fight time, will give his best effort whether he wins or loses.